the Daily Faceoff Fantasy Minute for March 3rd. We're going to start doing the Fantasy Minute a little bit differently. We're going to do it a little bit later in the day, recap some of the day's news, take a look at the games coming up this evening, and just try to provide some line combination updates, some player injury updates, some fantasy tidbits along the way, just to help you throughout the day. You're working all day. You can't keep an eye on fantasy hockey all day long. So this is going to be your recap of everything that happened today and allow you to set your lineups properly, make some waiver wire pickups, maybe make some trades if your fantasy hockey trade deadline hasn't happened yet, and maneuver the rest of the season as we near closer to the fantasy hockey playoffs. So let's dive right into tonight's slate. We've got a 6-game slate tonight. It actually starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. It's a little bit earlier start time. But the first note is Seth Jones will make his Panthers debut on Monday. Jones will start on the second pairing for the Panthers on a pair with Nico Mikkola, who will also start on the second power play unit. Seth Jones is 70% rostered right now, and even though he's on a much higher scoring offense, it's obviously hard to imagine him maintaining that 24-minute, 30-second time on ice that he saw in Chicago. Was also power play one quarterback in Chicago as well. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he could supplant Aaron Ekblad on PP1 in the future, but right now it's hard to imagine he's going to be able to replicate those minutes. I still think that there's probably a lot of fantasy value here with Seth Jones. Obviously, the lack of minutes is going to be an issue, but the increased scoring should probably help balance that out a little bit. So if you have Seth Jones, I wouldn't worry too much. Honestly, could help him. And he's still available in 30% of leagues. And being on PP2 should help that second power play unit. So guys like Anton Lundell, Evan Rodriguez, Carter Verhaeghe, who's down there now, it should help them as well. More Panthers information. We heard from Panthers GM Bill Zito that Matthew Tkachuk is going to be out for an extended period of time, but they are hopeful he will be back for the playoffs. Unfortunately, that makes it sound like his fantasy hockey season is over. Evan Rodriguez has been very solid filling in for Matthew Tkachuk, moving back into the top six, getting some additional power play time. And since the Four Nations break, when Tkachuk got hurt, he's got a goal and an assist in 4 games. He's also averaging 5 shots on goal per game, 20 shots in 4 games during that stretch. So he's widely available right now. I would take a look at at Evan Rodriguez, especially if you're somebody trying to replace Matthew Tkachuk. Another part of that trade that sent Seth Jones to the Florida Panthers was Spencer Knight going the other way to the Chicago Blackhawks. Spencer Knight will make his first start ever with the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. Now, obviously, the Blackhawks are terrible defensively. They don't draw a very good matchup on Monday against the Kings. So you'll have to be picky with Spencer Knight's matchups. But at just 16% owned, he's widely available. And if you're a fantasy team that is in desperate need of some goaltending help, I do think Spencer Knight's an okay addition right now. He should be the best goalie on that roster. Should see plenty of starts down the stretch here. It looks like him and Arvid Soderblom moving forward. Peter Mrazek could end up getting moved to the deadline. Peter Mrazek was the odd man out today, but Knight should at least see a 50-50 split, I would think, moving forward, and could help you in decent matchups. But for the most part, you're going to have to be extremely picky, obviously, with how bad the Blackhawks have been. But Arvid Soderblom has given us strong performances at times this season, so Spencer Knight certainly can as well. And the last piece of news, it's more for tomorrow's slate, but Igor Chinakhov was a full participant in Monday's practice for the Blue Jackets. A good sign that he'll be back in the lineup on Tuesday. He's just 6% owned right now, and he was on pace for 27 goals and 27 assists for 54 points in 82 games before he got hurt. This would be his first game action since November 27th. He was skating on a line with Boone Jenner and Kent Johnson. So obviously, Chinakhov was great earlier in the season, could definitely pick up where he left off on a line with Jenner and Johnson. But Jenner is just 30% rostered in his own right, and he's had a great start since returning to the Blue Jackets lineup after the Four Nations break. 7 assists in his first 4 games. Just incredible stuff. Still looking for his first goal, but Johnson just 30%, Jenner just 30% owned. Definitely worthwhile pickup right now. And Kent Johnson as well, just 25% rostered. Despite having 18 points, 9 goals, 9 assists in his last 16 games. He's been on a heater for like a few months now, and nobody seems to really care. Nobody's really picking him up. So Chinakhov, Jenner, and Johnson look like a formidable second line for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Will help that secondary scoring. I think all 3 of them make worthwhile fantasy pickups. That is going to do it for this edition of the Fantasy Minute. We'll see you back here on Tuesday.